Again, I mentioned that this is focused on green careers. So some of you might be like, what is a green job? What is a green career? I'm not even too familiar with that. So green jobs help to improve energy and raw materials efficiency. They limit the greenhouse gas emissions. They minimize waste and pollution, and they protect and restore our ecosystems. They also support adaptation to the effects of climate change, which we know is happening all around us. I also just want to share a quick document, and I'll put the link in the chat in a moment as well. But this was created by the Baltimore Office of Sustainability. So shout out to them. But I want to share a document that shows some information on green jobs in Baltimore. So give me 1 second. Here we go. So you should see on your screen, again, I'll put this in the chat for you to be able to access. But just as it says on here, green jobs benefit, preserve or restore the environment or its natural resources. They can be in traditional or in new fields, and it's an expanding sector of the economy and one we need to continue to grow in order to ensure a healthy and prosperous future for all. So one of the things that I really love about this document that it shares some green jobs training programs. So some of you may have joined in order to figure out where can you jump in, where can you get involved, how can you get into this career field. So you have various options here. And actually a few of these organizations are going to be featured today on our panel. So I'm gonna put this in the chat again in a moment. Let me stop sharing my screen. Got so much pulled up here. Okay, well, now it doesn't want to leave. It wants you all to continue to see it. But I'll get that off the screen. But I do want to pivot to our wonderful moderators of this discussion. We have a student moderator as well as someone who works in the Office of College and Career Readiness. So I'm going to pivot and allow our moderators to introduce themselves. So Nicole and Antonio, you can feel free to come off of mute. You can cut your camera on if you're able to, just to introduce yourselves to our guests today.
I guess I'll go first. I was waiting for Antonio. I'm Nicole Devito. I'm an educational specialist for career and technical education, career readiness. And I am really excited to be here and learn about green careers myself. So I'll turn it over to Antonio.
My name is Antonio. I'm from Region F. Lewis. I'm also a part of Baltimore Beyond Plastic, and I'm excited to be here as well and help moderate.
All right, thank you both for introducing yourselves. So what we're going to do now, now that we know our moderators, you all learned a little bit about me, a little bit about green jobs as well. I'm going to let our moderators take over and work to introduce our panelists, or have our panelists introduce themselves. So moderators, I'm passing it over to you.
Albert, I'm sorry, I cut out. You're ready for us to start asking the questions?
Well, just swinging it over to our panelists for them to introduce themselves, and then we can get into the question portion.
Okay, I got it. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So panelists, I guess if you would please take a moment and introduce yourselves, that would be great. And I can't see who's here, so I don't know who to start with.
Morgan.
Okay, great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Morgan, and I'm really happy to be here today. I am the branch's intern support coordinator for the Parks and People Foundation. And I know that Albert just shared the document that has a little bit of information on green jobs, but Parks and People Foundation has an after-school program called Branches, which is a paid internship for high school students. And through that program, we work with environmental stewardship, educating youth on environmental topics. So like we dabble a little bit into environmental science. We get into the health of Baltimore City's waters and streams. And we also do a lot of hands-on projects such as like building raised beds for community gardens and also working in the community to enhance green spaces. So the work that I do there is a lot of all of that and hands-on stuff, and then also just making sure that all of our interns have the support and the materials and the equipment they need to succeed after they leave our program. So making sure that they are applying to scholarships and are on track for their college or career or trade school certification track, and then also making sure that while they're in our program that they are focusing on kind of like highlighting, or sorry, like streamlining where they want to be and getting to be familiar with their ideal career choices.
Wow, thank you. Well, Wellington, do you want to go next?
Sure. I would let Farmer Chippy go because his hat's better than mine, but I'll go next.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see his hat.
That's very generous of you, sir, but you quality before quantity.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am Wellington Ash, and I'm the Director for Training at Civic Works Center for Sustainable Careers, where we do, we train folks in the Baltimore community in green jobs, family sustaining jobs. They all have a energy or green element to them. Currently, even during COVID, we are training folks in utility infrastructure, which is a partnership with BG&E to train folks to work for their subcontractors. It's a longstanding now relationship. We also train folks in solar installation, which I think in terms of its greenness speaks for itself. During non-COVID times, we train folks in weatherization, stormwater management, and brownfields, which is lead and asbestos remediation and abatement. We offer a plethora of wraparound services through our case managers. We are a little different than most workforce development programs in that we don't just train folks and then tell them, okay, now go find a job. We have employer partners in the areas we train in that are waiting for our graduates. And so our placement rate is approximately, over the last 5 years, 92%. So the thing is, if you train, finish your training, you'll get a job. Those jobs are at living wages, so they range from $16 to $19 an hour to start, and they are career-oriented jobs as opposed to just a stopgap job. We offer assistance with legal services.
You might have cut out, Wellington.
Yep, Wellington, I'm afraid you might have gone on mute.
Oh, automatic unmute. We offer a plethora of case management services, including direct relationships with our employer partners, legal services, food security in terms of making sure our folks get fed while they're in training, transportation, including transportation to and from us, and help with buying vehicles to get to and from work. We work with child support, MVA to deal with child support and licensing issues, housing assistance, any type of mental health and health services, food stamps, referrals so the folks can eat while they are training and moving, transitioning to work. I can't really give you all the things that ways in which we involve ourselves in our clients' lives, but that's kind of the gist of what we do.
Thank you, Wellington. That sounds amazing. And what a great opportunity for our young people. So now I guess I'll turn it over to the other man in the hat, Farmer Chippy.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy Friday to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Farmer Chippy at your service.
Good morning.
We are from the Plantation Park Heights. It's an urban farm. It was started in 2014 in Park Heights, Baltimore. We started growing food, flowers, and herbs, and we've made some traction with the residents. We've attracted 4 elementary schools and some residents from around the area to get involved in urban farming. When we started, children didn't know what a pepper looked like, so they thought a pepper came from Walmart. Fast forward to today, children are identifying peppers, not just by the name pepper, but by their actual names like pimentos and, Scotch bonnets and all that. So we've made some traction. We've managed to have Baltimore City children who don't know about agriculture very interested in agriculture. We're working with these schools. We've onboarded the teachers, and now we're preparing elementary schools for the opportunity to go into green careers. We're working closely with Civic Works, and we appreciate Wellington and the program that they have, because they have the east side, and we are trying to be their equivalent to the west side. We're working with the city of Baltimore to distribute food to our residents, 200 boxes. It's a collaboration between Civic Works, City of Baltimore, Common Works does the aggregate, and Park Heights Plantation distribute the food. On Thursdays, we give away food boxes, and on Fridays, we're at the Langston Hughes Pantry, where we meet the other older residents, and we distribute food there as well. Most of the food comes from farmers that are around, but we're making a big move to have Baltimore be fed by Baltimore. So we're working with the 19 farms in the Farm Alliance, trying to get some understanding of what we can grow so we can aggregate it right here in Baltimore and we can feed ourselves. Some of the things we're doing as well is we're building Agrihood Baltimore. This is a collection of farmers with the intention of creating a thriving marketplace, community shared agriculture, and an urban farmer training resource institute right here in Baltimore. We have always had to go out of Baltimore for agricultural training. We're trying to end that in 2021 by building the necessary facilities to host young Black and brown farmers. We feel they have the grit and the intrinsic nature to become master farmers because of their hereditary line. They were born of parents who had the farming ability in them, in their bones, in their blood. So we feel if we can tap that resource, we can discover something innovative in the Baltimore children that hang on the corners. They have this ability to grow amazing food. AmeriCorps at Civic Works have proven that. It has given us an opportunity to send some of our farmers to them. So we are very interested in what's happening here, where they are looking to put careers of green careers in a middle and high school, because our audience currently are elementary schools. We want to be able to promise these children a career in agriculture once they stick with us. And with the cannabis industry being 45 billion in a year or so, we expect to pivot where we can have our children and prepare them for that giant industry. My name is Farmer Chippy. I have 5 high school and 5 college children. That's 10 urban farmers who are ready to work with the children of Baltimore to prepare them to become farmers. Thank you again for the opportunity to present.
Thanks, Farmer Chippy. That's so amazing what you're doing. I think we have Heather left to introduce herself. Is that correct?
No, that's the panelists that we have for today.
Oh, that's the oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So those are the panelists. So I'm going to turn it over to Antonio to ask the first question.
Okay. We have so for this is a question for Morgan. It's for all our panelists. So why are green careers important to you, and why should they be important to students?
Green careers are, first, they're important to me just because that's the direction that our planet needs to go. We need to go towards being a more sustainable Earth where, we're not worried about carbon dioxide kind of destroying our planet as it is right now. And then I think also there's so much opportunity there in green careers that it doesn't just have to be with, environmental science. You can take a more agricultural route like Farmer Chippy is working with. You can take a hands-on job where you're working with soil testing or where you're working with water quality testing. You can also do, you can have an educational job as a green career. So I think there's so much versatility there. And then I think for students, it's just important because, that's, again, where the world is shifting. So there's going to be so much opportunity coming your way that you don't really want to be in an industry that's not going to exist in a few years.
Okay, next we have Mr. Wellington.
Yes, I would say that the green careers are of paramount importance. One, because of the acceleration with global warming that we've experienced. It's even beyond the projections that scientists had previously, as short a time ago as 10 years ago, predicted in terms of temperature change, which is melting, of course, the polar ice caps, putting cities, coastal cities around the world closer and closer to being underwater. In our communities, we tend to be so focused on surviving, our lives that we almost don't have time to consider what the global impact of the things we do and the things that our country does or does not do. So I think green careers help educate us, and then they also help us allow us to help make an impact where it counts in terms of pushing back against the forces that are destroying our environment.
Okay, next is Farmer Chippy.
Well, we feel like green careers are very essential. We have created programming at the plantation to work closely, as close as possible, with nature. Our belief is that if we bring our elementary children closer to nature, we wouldn't have to have this conversation about green careers. So we feel if early exposure to the elementary schools and a rigorous curriculum that supports the child, we can't just throw out green careers, put them in, and then when they go to high school, we don't have it. For example, at Reginald F. Lewis, they are looking to discontinue the agricultural program. We at the elementary level are concerned about that because we're preparing a bunch of children for an agricultural driven career. When they leave us, they're going off to high school and middle school. If those careers don't exist at those levels, our efforts will reduce to north. So we are asking that Baltimore City and the leaders get themselves together and understand that we need to create a pathway to green careers. It's the most essential thing going forward. And COVID-19 has showed us this thing.
Thank you, Farmer Chippy. So can we have Morgan describe your educational and professional journey to getting into your current position?
So my educational journey has been pretty interesting. I am just kind of naturally creative at heart, so I'm all over the place. And anyone else who is a super creative, I'm sure is already familiar with that. So I tried so many educational paths I tried college where I started off with being an early childhood educator, then to computer science, then to business management. So I was kind of bouncing all around because I was just so interested at doing everything that I kind of needed to step away and take a small break from college. So what I did instead of continuing my education there was I went and worked full-time at a natural health food store. So it's one that's local to Baltimore. I think some of you might be familiar with it, but it's called Mom's Organic Market. And that's a fantastic grocery store because they have a really good push for environmental practices. So everything they do is focused around sustainability and serving foods that are healthy, so non-GMO and things like that. So that kind of started my interest in the environment, where the environment wasn't really on my plate before I started working there. It was all about education and I loved playing teacher as a kid and things like that. So I knew I wanted to be a teacher somehow, just wasn't sure what the format would be. And then I just kind of stumbled across the Parks and People Foundation through, because they were a partner with Mom's Organic Market. So after I did a little bit of research and looked into their programs, I was really interested in the Branches program because it was working with high school students. And I've been in this position for about 3 years. So, I'm pretty close to the age of most high school students. So I felt like I could really connect with them. And it was just like a fun place to be. And I think that, it was really important to me that I tried out so many different college routes and found that I didn't like it and then kind of got here through some work experience.
Okay, next we have everything. Is he still here? Or did he next we have Mr. Wellington.
Yes, I guess I'm an older guy. So the way I came to this was all my life I've worked with what are called at-risk populations, which really means people who are the first to be hurt by negative circumstances in our society, and the last to be helped when the society is doing well, and that includes all of us. So I have done that kind of work forever and ever. Most originally working with children, young people in middle schools and high schools. And after dealing with some loss of my own, I decided I wanted to work in the city that I live in. So some years ago, I came to work for Civic Works at the Center for Green Careers at the time, now the Center for Sustainable Careers, and have never enjoyed the work that I do more. So all the education that I got at the University of Chicago and Georgetown University was great, but you don't have to you don't have to go to college to do much of what I do. You just have to be dedicated and willing to invest in your community.
Okay, we have Farmer Chippy next.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question that you ask, because I didn't get here with the formal route myself. I was born in the Caribbean, and my parents brought me here. Well, I had the opportunity to come here after high school, and I enrolled in schools and dropped out, enrolled again, dropped out, had some children, but I kept current, right? Two things happened to me. One, I met people who believed in me, and they point me in different directions. And that helped me to find my way, one. And two, I just kept working at it. I didn't know what I was working at, but inside of me, there was a burning desire to do more. And the reason I succeeded, it was because there were people around me who saw that desire and fed it. You know, so as an adult, as an older man like Wellington, my job is to find this talent, identify it, and just feed the fire. You know, I think I'll say it again. I think innovation sits on the corner of every Baltimore street. And I think if we engage them corner boys, we might find a solution to many of our problems here in Baltimore. So we need to think about that. Two, when I got here, I had a science interest and science background. And my real break came when I got a job at GE. You know, one thing I can tell you about American companies, if you get a job, ask your manager to send you the train, because they send you the train and they give you the highest quality training. Working in life sciences, or science in particular, I was just pushed into quality, compliance, and safety. Now, the knowledge I got from the life sciences field regarding quality, compliance, and safety, I took that and I applied it to my life, because that training is priceless. And once you apply that to your life, you become sort of like a perfectionist, but not really. You start working with what you have. So I think that's real sustainability, preparing our children to work with what they have, staying up full, and then giving them the necessary tools to go beyond where we've gone. You know, we've gotten to a certain place, but COVID showed a whole lot of problems, and it exposed a lot of illnesses. So we have an opportunity now to work with these children who have the digital experience. We can come with the old school, we can put it together to ensure we don't end up in this situation ever again.
Okay, next question is, what types of green careers are available in the region? Questions for Morgan.
I kind of think if you can think of it, it exists. So I feel like Wellington might be a little bit better prepared to take on this with his experience.
Yeah, I mean, as Morgan said, there is almost no limit. Although finding those jobs is different than finding, a job as a secretary or a teacher or whatnot. They do seem to be a little bit more off the beaten path. So you kind of have to, Google and look up and find out who's doing it. But there's stormwater management, there's water quality management, there's, like I said, the solar industry, both in terms of design and installation. There's remediation, removing harmful things from our environment, like asbestos and lead, which used to be real killers in Baltimore, and we're, in recent years, just kind of getting that situation under control. There is utility infrastructure. The power companies and the companies that provide our energy have a multitude of opportunities, and they're becoming more green conscious because the government has put money there, and so they are trying to reap the benefits of upcoming industries that are going to replace traditional fossil fuel consumption. So it's just a matter of you imagine what you like to do. Do you like to work outside? Do you like to work with your hands? Do you like working behind a computer? Kind of decide what you enjoy doing, and I guarantee you there's a green career that will match your aspirations.
And next, Farmer Chippy.
Yeah, there's more than 400 green career jobs available. I dropped in the chat a couple, like, you know, the ones that you might recognize, 16 of them or whatever. But if you have a desire to learn something, you just got to pivot to the green side of it. All of it is going to go green, you know? So it's you as an individual, a young person might be able to find a solution that pivots the current careers into a green career. So exposure at an early age is important. I can't stress that enough. This is a wonderful time to be alive. You have the technology and you have the older people willing to listen because of COVID. Thank you. So it is a good chance for young people now to come to the front and present who they are and what they know. We want to listen. We can't do this without you, one. And two, we want to be able to not tell you what to do, but sort of like guide you so you don't make the same mistakes we made before.
Okay, next question. As a high school student, how can we apply for internship opportunities with your organizations or part-time job opportunities? Questions for anybody.
So because you mentioned high school students specifically, that's one of the, that's actually our audience for our after school program. So Branches operates on a non-COVID basis from Monday through Thursday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So right in your, in the after school time. And we open up our applications to our program every September, and our program usually starts in late October. So usually the process for that is filling out the application online, and we have all of our information on parksandpeople.org. And you also can, you can go ahead and like fill out the application, and then you have myself and our other program coordinator who will be in touch with you via email or like phone call to schedule an interview. So we do have a formal interview process. And then once we go through all of that, then you are offered a position to be a Branches intern. And we accept usually between 30 to 35 students each year. And last year was very competitive. So it is a competitive process. So I would highly recommend to, you know, focus on filling out that application and practicing your interviewing skills before showing up. And then we also offer summer positions. So we work through YouthWorks, and that is a 4 or 5 week program. And from, I think this year was July to August, but we work in communities and we focus on kind of making the communities greener, and we work with younger students. So our Super Kids Camp, we have some high school students work with those children. And then we also have a environmental science pathway for our summer program as well. And all that information is on our website, which I believe was linked in the chat. And if you go to that, you should be able to read up on all of our programs if you're interested in becoming a Branches intern.
Yeah, and for Civic Works, well, it's kind of a two-part question. You know, Civic Works is a large organization that has a lot of different ways that it intersects with the community. At the Center for Sustainable Careers, we have in-power interns during non-COVID times. Of course, we've scaled back the presence of bodies in general in our building and retrofitted our classrooms to keep our training safe. But Civic Works in general, with the work it does on community lots and urban farming, etc., has many opportunities for both volunteerism and internships. Those you would contact Civic Works in general. But for the Center for Sustainable Careers, where I am in charge of training, is more specific. And there are fewer opportunities for internships there, but lots of opportunities for training for career work.
Okay, this question is from Farmer Chippy. It asks, what are benefits for students who learn practical hands-on skills needed on a farm?
Repeat the question.
The question is, what are benefits for students who are what are benefits for students who learn practical hands-on skills needed on a farm?
Oh, good question. Prior to COVID, I had no way of convincing children that agriculture had financial beneficial future. It was just not possible to lie like that because Baltimore City did not prepare itself to be an agriculture town. I think now we have a great opportunity because the USDA has invested in putting an urban agriculture office in Washington, D.C. So urban agriculture has its own office now, which means it's going to have its own allocation. It's going to have its own opportunity. If you don't know, the USDA is a farmer-based organization. It represents farmers. So if you become an urban farmer, you go through the process, you train up with the University of Maryland Extension Program. You participate in the Future Harvest Beginner Farmer Program or Master Gardener, Baltimore Master Gardener Program. It's the basic introductory to farming. You get to learn the fundamentals. Now you can tap the USDA for the necessary resources to support your growth in this department. I can help you do that because it is up to us to tell the USDA what we need in Baltimore. The days of them making plans for us in backroom doors and all that, it's over. You have internet access, you have technology, you have communication. I strongly suggest you reach out to your leaders, your teachers, your stakeholders, and let them know what you want. This is your time to tell us what you want. Our job is to create all of it and present it to you, but we can't choose it for you. And if you see something that you like and we don't have it, tell us. We'll find it and get it to you. So in short, going forward, it is up to us, the adults who have experienced all the atrocities, to now pivot and support you so you can fly.
Okay, next question. What employers have green careers available right now?
I guess I'll jump into that. The employers that have green careers are employers that do remediation work, all the companies that do asbestos-led remediation, even those companies that come in and remove mold from homes, that is in effect a green endeavor. Also, the power companies, as I've spoken before, Exelon, BGE as a subsidiary of Exelon, and power companies all over the country, solar companies that install solar panels on homes, both in cities and suburbs. They're almost every industry, and I think Farmer Chippy was correct. If you think about just the evolution over the past number of years, industries that you think of as not necessarily being green have a green component. Car manufacturers never envisioned nor cared about doing electric or battery powered cars. But once the government started mandating pollution standards, then all of a sudden now we have a plethora of electrical models coming out, and they will only increase and be more in hybrid models, et cetera. Just an example of how industries pivot as the pressure increases for us to do more to help our environment.
Okay, Morgan, so what was your motivation to keep going throughout your career?
Well, I think most of the motivation came from, I have to do something. I can't just, as much as I would love to, I can't just stay at home and, live off of my family for forever, as easy as that would be. So I kind of just wanted to make sure that whatever I got involved in, it was something that was true to me and something that I was really interested in. I didn't want a job that I, dreaded waking up to and going to every morning. I didn't want something that where I'd walked in and, there was no laughter or sunshine in the building. I wanted to make sure that it was wherever I worked or found myself working, it was like a true, it was a job that I really enjoyed and felt like someplace that I belonged to.
For me, as I said earlier, the motivation to continue, I worked with young people prior, and when the opportunity came to work with grown folks, especially young men, some of whom, a lot of whom had contact with the criminal justice system, I used to think I wanted to work with young people because I could get to them early in their lives and help them out so that they never got involved in the justice system or got into trouble. But one of the things that really working here in Baltimore with a predominantly an audience of young men, I've found that if I can help the young brothers, the fathers, and in some cases the grandfathers, to change how they earn their living, what their emphasis are, then I also change the lives of their children and their cousins and their brothers and sisters, and you get a domino effect. And if big brother is going out to work every day rather than going out to the corner, then little brother sees a different pathway. And that passion has become very intense and been responsible for me pushing through any obstacles necessary to keep doing the work that I do.
Okay, Farmer Chippy, you want to tag on that?
Yeah. Like I said, my success was hinged upon the people I met along the way. There were people I met along the way who really believed in me. And it scared me too, because, you know, you come from the Caribbean and you come from a loving place, a great place. Everybody helps each other and they share resources. It's a real nice place. And then you get to big United States of America to live without your parents. You're young, you're 17. You're like, whoa, you know, it's overwhelming. And then you meet people along the way who are so nice to you. It reminds you of home. But then there are people who are even nicer. And you get nervous because you're like, wow, why are you so nice? It's because you come to a place with diversity and you tap into the diversity and you realize there are cultures that are different. And these people bring their cultures, whether it's Canadian or you know, or they're Europeans or something, or like I've met friends from Ghana and Senegal who I went to school with who are like phenomenal, like ridiculous phenomenal. And I'm like, wow. So I say all this to say, in your moment, Baltimore is somewhat depressing at times, but in your moment, just reflect on the people who have dropped a nice word to you or given you a lead or sent you an email with a forward message telling you, check this out or check that out. Pay attention to those people because the place is so small, you're gonna meet them again. So my words to you is, be nice to everyone you meet and treat everyone like a holy man, because you're gonna meet them in this little small town.
Okay, what scholarships are out there for students to go and get and apply for?
There's so many scholarships and opportunities available for students to apply for, and I don't have too many resources off the top of my head, but I do know that the internet is vast, and as you know, if you can Google search if you can Google search like, you know, what scholarships are available, there are some that are specific to your school or your college of choice. There are also a ton of state and federal scholarships that you can apply for. There are grants. There is so many opportunities that exist that you know, you don't want to turn down or not be aware of them just because you couldn't take 5 minutes to search for the opportunities that are out there. And I will also say to be very careful while you are searching for scholarships, because as there are so many opportunities, there are also so many scams. So I believe there's a government website. I believe it's called studentaid.gov. I could be wrong on that, but it's also something you can Google. But you can take a look at their website and they will provide like an authenticity check. So it'll let you know, okay, if this is a real or accurate scholarship, or if this is one that you should stay clear of.
Okay, what type of schooling is needed for most CTE programs?
I think I jump in here. I think certifications. It is important that you pursue certifications. For example, if you're getting involved in farming, urban farming, which I think is a brilliant move, you can go to the University of Maryland Extension site, and they have a series of extension programs that can help you or meet you where you are and then take you where you want to go. So that's one resource. But if also you're interested in starting an urban farm, there's some financing available and scholarships available. One of the scholarship gurus is MAEF, Maryland Agriculture Educational Foundation. Love that group. That group really looks after the children and they create opportunities for learning. Another group is the Mid-Atlantic Farm Credit pay attention to that group. That group is ready to pivot to invest more into Black and brown children. So if you go to the Mid-Atlantic Farm Credit website, currently they have $100,000 available in scholarship, $10,000 at a time for 10 children. Now, they don't have a history of helping us, helping Black and brown children a lot, and they want to make amends for that. So I suggest that you go after it. And I have a bunch of other resources coming down the pipeline. We're asking companies that were involved in atrocities of Black and brown people in the past to make amends and have their soul by helping us to promote the children. And if we can have them adopt 1 or 2 children and pay for their journey from elementary to college and make that commitment, then I would believe that Black lives matter.
Does anyone have? Sorry.
You're okay, Antonio. Go ahead.
Does anybody have any more questions? Anybody in the chat? Any students? Any teachers?
I can jump in with one question that someone put on one of the teachers put in a registration document. We do have some middle school students here today, and one of the questions was what information should a middle school student be working to learn if they want to get into some of these careers, and how can they get started from where they are? Anybody can feel free to jump in.
Me again. If you're in middle school and you're interested in green careers, I strongly suggest, because of affordability and access, consider urban farming. It's such a well-rounded profession because the community piece is there, the chasing the money piece is there, and the actual growing of the food is there. So if you end up in an environment like that, I think chances are you will meet that person that I mentioned earlier, that magic person you meet who just recognize your talent and then take you from there to the next level. But it's a good start because it's a good place to meet a group of people with like minds who are willing to grow food in the city. And with that start, I think you'll pretty much find your way. So it's a good start. Find an urban farm in your community. You can Google it. If you don't, look up the Farm Alliance of Baltimore. I think they have 19 farms in an alliance right now. Reach out to each farmer, talk to him or her, and make sure you get the spirit and the essence before you join. Things can go really bad really fast. So try to get the spirit and the essence, visit the farm a couple of times. And then, if you need more guidance, feel free to reach out. We're at the plantation. Currently, COVID-19 doesn't allow that, but stick with us, follow us and we'll work with you. We want to encourage as many young people to get involved in farming as possible.
Albert, could you repeat the question one more time?
Absolutely. So the question is, if I'm a middle school student, right, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, how can I get started? How can I get involved in a green career?
So I think my piece of advice for that would be to start researching. As easy as it might sound, you might find one career that you're interested in or that sounds nice. You might change your mind before you get out of high school and can begin your education journey. So I would say start researching and really kind of try to pinpoint where your interests lie, because maybe you're interested in being an environmental educator today, but then tomorrow environmental scientist comes along and that takes your interest. Don't close off any doors, kind of keep them all open and just continue to research and build your build up your brain space on, where you might be able to end up and what it takes to get there. Because there's so many opportunities that, like I said, it's really hard to pick one or two. And being so young, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you have so many more things that you'll experience in high school that will continue to shape where you might want to go. And then also take part in your community. There's plenty of volunteer activities. So maybe you are interested in working in agriculture or in forestry, take part in your community's tree planting activities, take part in your community's garden planting activities. That way you can really see, okay, is this something I'm interested in, or is it something I'd like to do on the weekend for fun to help out someone else in my community?
Yeah, I'd like to just double down on what Morgan was saying. Is when you're in middle school, you can volunteer. There are programs at your community science centers where they teach you how to do water sampling, air sampling, plant recognition, all those things that will give you an entree into various levels of participation in green. You may find that, oh, wow, water sampling, I don't like that very much. Oh, but I love identifying plants, so identifying wildlife, all of which, give you, an entree. Look at your science classes and see what the latest innovations are in industry that are coming up that will, as Farmer Chippy said, will help you chase the dollar side and, help save the planet. I mean, what better way than to, become well-to-do or wealthy while helping to save the planet at the same time? That would just be the coolest thing ever. So the key thing is you guys have Google and all these search engines to find out what's going on globally and to find out what's going on locally, in Baltimore per se, and what resources are available to you. And it's literally unlimited. Your biggest problem will be deciding what things you're going to volunteer for, what internship you want to do this summer or this week or whatever. So just look it up.
Okay, this probably gonna be the last question, but is there any careers that you need to apply for in a certain time span? Like it's too late for you to apply for, or it's too early of such?
I want to say yes and no to some of those questions. So there are some opportunities. Of course, I'm blanking on all of them right now, but there are some opportunities that are available to younger people that might cap at the age of 23 or 24. I think, Knowles is what it is. They are an environmental education, like outdoor training organization. So sometimes they stop their training at certain ages. Or there's places like AmeriCorps, Conservation Corps, they have very strict deadlines. So you want to keep an eye on those things. But it really is depending on what you're interested in. Some things might have deadlines and some things might not. So I think the best thing you can do now is kind of start focusing on your like time management skills or your skills of keeping a calendar of things and deadlines. That way, when it comes to, excuse me, needing to focus on submitting something before October or November, you're not already behind by not having put that on your calendar. So just keep that in mind, that you want to start watching out for deadlines and making note of those as they come up.
All right.
Okay. I think one more person has a question in the chat. I don't think they ever asked. I'm gonna see if what they want to know.
Yeah, I was looking there as well, Antonio.
Yeah, I had a question. I was wondering, this is a question for everyone. I was wondering, do y'all fellas though it's still possible to be successful without a high school diploma? Like, yeah, that's my question.
I'll jump in there
That's
first.
a hard question. Oh, my fault. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump in there first because about let's say 80% of the folks that I train are without high school diplomas. That's not a requirement for training in our particular program, but our program is a construction-based program. So it is, hard work that pays well. So yes, it's absolutely possible to be successful. Of course, it's always good to get a high school diploma or a college diploma, but if you don't have those, or if you know someone that doesn't have that, there are opportunities for them. And not only do we train, our training is free, and our training pays $200 a week while folks are training before they start their work after, say, 10 weeks of training. So yes, it is possible, but get as much education as you can. But for those who don't, certainly there's no reason to give up. There's still ways to participate in the green economy.
Just to add something to that real quick, I think doing the work is important, right? You go do the work, and then while you're doing the work in your spare time, you do the formal education piece. Get some help. Get it out of the way. One of the reasons we're getting it out of the way is that we can say we conquered that platform. You don't want to reach to the highest level and then You know, the Babylonians have a way of trying to stain your name and bring you down, especially when you have black skin. So my thing is, conquer all levels. Take your time. You don't have to do it right away. There are 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds in college. Conquer all levels. Be a lifetime learner and always be nice to the people you meet. They might introduce you to someone who's going to change your life.
I think Makai, your question was really interesting, and I think it kind of I take a pretty big interest in that, just because I know that my experience with education is not the most formal or linear route, but I think a high school diploma is important. However, if you don't get one, or you aren't able to achieve one, there are like high school diploma equivalents, and those I think they're just as good and as valued as a high school diploma. And I really think that it's important to know that even if you don't get either one of those, you are able to be as successful as you want to be. If you want to be a doctor, you're just going to have to work that much harder to get there. You're going to have to really focus in on, what you want to do and what it takes. But I don't think that just because you don't have a high school diploma that your world stops there. You have endless opportunities and endless things that you can do. It really is just a matter of what you need to do to get there, and getting started as soon as you can. And Farmer Chippy, you mentioned an interesting phrase of just get it done, which I think is interesting because I am someone who cannot just get it done. As much as as easy as it sounds to just work through it because you need it, I'm someone who needs so much more motivation than just, that it'll be beneficial. So I think finding what you want to do, why you want to do it, and making sure that it's something that resonates with you is really important, because that's going to keep you going if you're not someone who can just get it done and work through it.
Thank you for that, Morgan.
Just to add real quick.
Okay.
Getting it done is hard. I agree with you. I should strongly suggest, if you're a young person, find a mentor. Yeah, find a mentor, someone you like, someone you like how they move, you like how they talk, whatever. Find a mentor. Usually, you might want to have somebody older than you, and use that person as a soundboard before you make your big moves. Use that person as a soundboard and try to make it happen. I mean, it's tough, but you'll get through it. I think we can. Yeah.
Thank you for those words. And first and foremost, thank you to all of our panelists today. A wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information. I hope y'all were checking out the chat. It was blowing up with so many links, so much information, so much insight, which is very, very helpful for our students, for our teachers, for our whole city, really, our whole community. Additionally, thank you so much to our moderators. Really appreciate you posing a question, helping to shape this conversation, which I think is very important. So I do want to leave us off with a few things before we depart. One, the survey link is going to be shared into the chat. Students, this space is for you. So we want you to really, really complete this survey just to let us know, in your words and your opinion, what you felt about this experience today. Let us know how we can improve, how we can do better. What are some things you felt like were missing? And then also, what are some things that you felt like that were done well? So please fill out the survey. It was just shared within the chat. Additionally, I know a lot of links were shared, a lot of information was shared. We're working to compile this information. So teachers who RSVP for this event, we will be sharing out a follow-up email just so you have access to a lot of that information. So don't worry if you feel like I missed so much, I couldn't capture it all. We're trying to make sure we get that to you as well. And I'm also going to put my email into the chat real quick. So if anybody needs to reach out to me, you can. So my email's in the chat. And then lastly, I want to share a link. We have our next CTE Friday coming up on January the 8th. And we would hope that everybody who's on today can join us again. We're going to be talking about careers in IT. So if you're interested in information technology, you do not want to miss this conversation, this discussion. We want you to be a part of it. We're going to have Empower present, Bite Back, an organization called Baltimore Technology Hub, as well as the Digital Harbor Foundation. We may have one or two other guests, but make sure that you join that. I'm going to put the link to our January 8th CTE Friday in the chat right now. So if you're a teacher and you're like, I want to sign my students up now to make sure that we keep this information going, you can go ahead and click that link and make sure you check it out. And again, thank you all so much. Thank you as well to the work-based learning team, the whole college and career readiness office who's on here, who was helping out during this event. You all are very much appreciated. And that concludes our panel discussion for today. I hope that you all got some takeaways. I hope that you have your next action step so we can keep this ball rolling. So make sure you stay informed. Make sure you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Take care of your loved ones, and we'll check in with you next time.